January the 6th, like December the 7th and September the 11th, is a date which will live in infamy. I refer to U.S. Capitol as sacred space because it's so much more than a building where the Senate and the House of Representatives meet and conduct business. It is the embodiment of our ideals, our aspirations, and hope, not just to Americans, but also to all of humanity.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. That is Senator Ben Cardin, who gave a speech in Congress telling us how he believes that the Capitol is a sacred place. Now, he was saying this in response to January 6th, because he believes that what happened on January 6th was disrespectful to the Capitol. It was a disgrace, right? This is what he believes. Just, 3 or so years later, he has to now fire one of his staffers for disrespecting and disgracing the Capitol. Except I think that his staffer did something much worse than what anybody on January 6th did. His staffer got caught making a gay sex tape in a Senate hearing room. He was getting pounded out, right, in the halls of Congress, okay? Incredible stuff. I'm sure he's not the first person to get pounded out in the hall of Congress. He might be the first man to do so, but I'm sure that's happened before, okay? I'm pretty sure that's definitely happened before. Let's keep it all the way 100, okay? Our boy Matthew Cawthorn, let's never forget how he basically exposed what really happens on Capitol Hill behind closed doors.
Look at all these people, a lot of them that I've looked up to through my life. I've always paid attention to politics, guys that, then all of a sudden you get invited to, like, well, hey, we're going to have kind of a sexual get-together at one of our homes. You should come. And I'm like, what did you just ask me to come to? Yeah. And then you realize they're asking you to come to an orgy. Yeah. Or the fact that, there's some of the people that are leading on the movement to try and remove, addiction in our country. And then you watch them do, a key bump of cocaine right in front of you.
Yo, that video is legendary, right? Matthew Cawthorn went out like a legend, okay? I could argue that he definitely lost his career, his spot in Congress, because he exposed the truth about what these politicians are up to behind closed doors, okay? I'm just saying, stories like this definitely lend credibility to Madison Cawthorn's claims about what actually goes on in Congress. So with that being said, this staffer right here, who goes by the name of Aide. Now, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm just going to call him Aiden. But Aiden is into some weird stuff, okay? Aiden, he has some very, very, very crazy pictures online. I do not encourage any of you guys to actually, look up some of these pictures online unless you're into that type of stuff. I'm not into that type of stuff. It has been hard for me to avoid seeing that type of stuff. But from the glimpses of it that I've seen, it's something that, again, I never really want to see, right? I don't want to expose myself to it. But Aiden, okay, despite the fact that clearly and obviously this guy is into, putting his sexuality out like that on the internet, he denied disrespecting the halls of Congress, okay? He says he did not disrespect the hall of Congress, even though he didn't flat out deny that he was in the video getting pounded out by another man, right? He did not deny that, okay? But he did deny disrespecting the halls of Congress. Now, what does he mean by disrespect? Well, that's the key here, because these types of people, as we've seen time and time again in the past, they don't think that it's disrespectful to do things like flash on the White House lawn or twerk, on Capitol Hill, or, have sex in the halls of Congress. They don't think that type of stuff is disrespectful, right? They think that they have the right to do that because they're a part of a so-called minority group, right? Based off their sexuality, right? They're oppressed. They're victims. So therefore, they can do whatever they want to do, and it's not disrespectful, right? But again, he never flat out denied being the person in the sex tape. Now, we have confirmation for sure that he was the person in the tape because he has now been fired, okay? He is now unemployed because Senator Ben Cardin, a Democrat from Maryland, has fired him. So we know for a fact that he did it, but I want you guys to pay attention to how the mainstream liberal media is framing the story. First and foremost, I just want to take note that they're not really trying to cover it, right? CNN just put out this little short article, okay? They're not having any think pieces or long conversations on their network where they're actually discussing what happened and the implications of what happened, right? Because these are the same people that claim they care about respect and decency, okay? Decency's back in the White House, right? Decency's back in charge. Except we haven't seen any decency from the Democrats since they've been in charge, right? But again, these people are silent. They really don't have anything to say about this. But I guarantee you, if this guy was a Republican, if this was an aide to a Republican, do you think that there would be this type of silence, right? Do you think that they would actually be covering this more than they're covering it right now? Because listen, just because they write a little article doesn't mean they're covering it, right? They write a little article just to say that, oh, well, we covered it, right? We're not biased. But again, I guarantee you, you're not going to see long conversations and debates about this type of behavior that has become prevalent among Democrats, right? We see this a lot among Democrats. They're not going to have an in-depth conversation that needs to be had about why in the world do Democrats keep hiring these people that are prone to engage in these types of activities. Again, Biden hired a LGBTQ bag bandit, right? I mean, the guy was out here stealing bags. Couldn't keep his hands off other people's bags at airports. He just so happened to be into a whole lot of stuff that, hey, that's his personal business. Ain't got no problem with it. But I'm just saying, there seems to be a pattern of behavior here, right? There's a pattern of behavior that Democrats are ignoring, but you're seeing this be the same common denominator when it comes to outrageous things like this happening in Congress, right? So without further ado, I want to read this article from NBC News because, again, this is a prime example of why the media is an enemy of the people, right? Because of articles like this. Quote, Senate staffer alleged by conservative outlet to have had sex in a hearing room is no longer employed. Yeah, see, that's a hell of a headline there, right? Senate staffer alleged by conservative outlet to have had sex in a hearing room is no longer employed. So again, it's almost as if they're trying to say that, well, this is something that's being made up by people on the right. It's alleged by a conservative outlet. So take it with a grain of salt. Even though the guy's been fired, right? The fact that he's been fired confirms that it's definitely him in the video, right? He definitely did it. But let's read here. Senator Ben Cardin's office has parted ways with a staffer who conservative news outlets allege was shown in a leaked video having sex in a Senate hearing room. Quote, Aide Masi Zarosposky is no longer employed by the U.S. Senate. The Maryland Democrats office said in a statement to NBC News on Saturday, which was first obtained by Politico, quote, we will have no further comment on this matter. Yeah, so again, no further comment on their staffer getting caught, getting pounded in Congress. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how much more you can say, but what I want to know really is how in the world did this guy slip through the cracks, right? How did he slip through the cracks in regards to the hiring process? Okay, when you're thinking about somebody that's going to work for a senator, you would think they would do a thorough check of this person's background, including looking at their social media to make sure that they're not some type of liability. This guy's social media is filled with softcore, right? It's filled with nothing but softcore, okay? I mean, it's only softcore because it can't be hardcore, right? On Instagram and all these other platforms, right? But I'm sure on the hardcore sites, it's hardcore. So again, to me, it's like, it was obvious, right? It was in your face, right? There were red flags everywhere that, maybe this ain't the type of person that we want working for us when they're prone to put stuff out like this on social media. But again, apparently Democrats don't vet. They just hire based off victimhood status. How many Infinity Stones of wokeness you got, right? Oh, you got at least one, you qualified, okay? No background check, no nothing like that, okay? But if you're a Trump supporter, though, best believe they're going to be checking. They're going to check to see if you're a Trump supporter, right? They will check that, right, to see if you MAGA. But to see if you're, prone to posting hardcore adult content on the internet, nah, right? They don't check for that. Apparently, that's not what they screen for. On Friday, The Daily Caller, a conservative news outlet, published what it said was a video showing a congressional staffer having sex with the unknown man in the Senate hearing room. It added that the video was shared in a private group for gay men in politics. Again, this news reporting right here is shameful. It really is. I mean, quite literally, NBC News can look up the video, right? You can see the video, right? The guy's been fired, so you know for a fact it's him in the video. The video is real. But they're trying to frame this as, well, we're just reporting what the conservative news outlet is reporting, right? But they're not really trying to confirm one way or the other that it's authentic, even though they know it's an authentic story. Again, see, this is how they cover for Democrats. They do it in sneaky ways like this. They won't talk about it. They'll write an article about it just so that they can say that, well, we covered it. We're not biased, okay? But yet they'll frame the article in a way that is trying to basically discredit the whole situation, to cast doubts about the situation. Okay, this is what they're trying to do, and it's really pathetic. It really is. It's a shame. The fact that they have to keep pointing out the fact that the outlet is conservative, again, it's just a way to try to discredit the outlet and to make it seem like it's not a serious story, right? Like, oh, this story might not be true, even though the guy was fired. Conservative outlet is reporting it, so therefore, take it with a grain of salt, right? Just move on. We're reporting just so that we can say we're not biased, right? Because they really don't want to report on this. CNN has, again, one article on this. MSNBC has no articles on this. They're completely ignoring it, okay? At least as of the making of this video. Conservative outlets then allege that Aide, a legislative aide for Cardin, was one of the men in the video. NBC News has not confirmed the authenticity of the video or the identities of the participants. Well, again, clearly and obviously, again, this guy was involved, because if he wasn't, then he wouldn't have got fired, right? The last thing you want to do as a Democrat is to fire somebody with infinity stones of wokeness, wrongly fire them, and then open yourself up to allegations of homophobia and bigotry. I mean, they're going to get those allegations anyways, but if you fire him wrongly and it wasn't actually him in the video, yeah, that would backfire big time, right? That would not be a good look, okay? So, yeah, I mean, best believe they made sure it was him. They was like, nah, that's you. That's you, right? That's why they fired him. On Friday night, Aiden put up a post on LinkedIn saying while he had shown poor judgment in the past, he would never disrespect my workplace. Clearly and obviously, he doesn't think that getting pounded out in Congress is disrespect. He thinks it's a right, right? And you're wrong. And you're a bigot if you try to criticize him for just loving another man in the Capitol, right? This is how he thinks. This is literally what he wrote. But the reason why I knew he was guilty is because he never flat out denied the allegations, right? So again, this is the type of situation where if that's not you in the video, you don't come out and say, I would never disrespect my workplace. That's not how you deny. You say, that is not me in the video, right? Stop saying that it's me in the video because it's not me. The fact that he never came out here and stated that it wasn't him in the video in a clear and concise way, it told me that, yeah, this dude definitely was in the video. 100% it was him, okay? Because that's not something you play with. You don't play with words in that type of situation. If that's not you, no, that's not me. That's it, right? You don't say, "Oh, I would never disrespect my workplace." That's not how you would deny being involved, right? Again, it's amazing. It's amazing. Any attempts to characterize my actions otherwise are fabricated, and I will be exploring what legal options are available to me in these matters. Yeah. So again, good luck suing anybody, right, for saying that having sex in the Capitol is, disrespectful, right? Which again, he clearly does not believe that. But again, I want to be clear. It's not a gay thing, because a lot of people, again, they're going to try to make it out to be also gay. No, it is literally you're having sex, whether it's gay or straight, in the Capitol, in a Senate hearing, right? You couldn't even do it in a place like the bathroom, right? Well, I guess you can make an argument. Okay, maybe that's a little bit more appropriate, right, than the Senate hearing room. You did it in the Senate hearing room, my guy, right? But it's not a gay or straight thing. It's straight up like you had sex in the Senate hearing room. If you were straight, it was a girl and a boy, the same level of shame would be levied, right? So again, it has nothing to do with his sexuality at all. Cardin's office initially put out a statement Friday that said, quote, "We have seen media reports emanating from the right-wing media. As this is a personal matter and under review, we will not be commenting further at this time." Again, it's amazing. It's amazing how they have to continue to say, oh, it's coming from right-wing media. Conservative news outlets are reporting on this, so it must not be true, right? It must not be true, but it's 100% true. Ain't it funny how that works? Rep. Max Miller, rep from Ohio, also identified Aide, two conservative outlets, as a staffer who shouted "Free Palestine" at him in the halls of Congress while he was speaking with an NBC News reporter. Aide denied the accusation in his LinkedIn post Friday. So yeah, he flat out denies that, right? He says, well, I didn't do that, right? I didn't do that. But he didn't flat out deny what we saw on video, right? In regards to whether or not that was him, which tells you everything you need to know about his guilt. So again, this guy is fired. He's unemployed, right? He's another diversity hire, woke hire that got the job because, you know, hey, he has an infinity stone of wokeness, and they didn't check to see if that infinity stone of wokeness was, you know, a little bit too powerful, right? A little bit too powerful for Democrats, okay? He had a little bit too much wokeness, okay? And that ultimately led to this embarrassment that unfortunately it won't be talked about enough in the media, right? They're going to write articles about it, but that's not coverage. There should be a wall-to-wall coverage of this situation because this is a big deal. They told us that we should have respect and decency for the halls of Congress. They spent all the time in the world talking about people on January 6th taking a poop on Nancy Pelosi's desk. But when it comes to this, though, oh, they're crickets, silence. They're not going to have these conversations, like actual real conversations about dudes getting pounding each other in the halls of Congress, which, you know, hey, could result in the same thing that happened on January 6th, okay? I'm just saying that sometimes that happens. So I'm just saying, you know, it's fascinating to see the silence. Now, the fact that he's been fired, we'll see if the mainstream liberal media actually picks up on this story and they actually really start to talk about it like they should. News is so slow. They're going to have to try really hard to avoid talking about this. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.